meeting that was requested by members of Parliament who support the government. And that was a meeting requested with the Minister of Finance to discuss the short-term, medium-term, and long-term financial outlook for St. Martin. You are aware of the Minister coming to the first part of that meeting. Next week, we expect to continue with, amongst other things, that meeting. I will address some of the other meetings that we have scheduled for next week a little further down in this press briefing. However, I want to emphasize again some of the issues touched upon during the meeting with the Minister of Finance. Minister of Finance gave his introduction, and there was a lot of focus on the whole issue of taxes, tax system. Is it conducive to further economic growth on St. Martin, yes or no? At that time, the minister was asked to provide information regarding a draft fiscal reform framework paper that was presented to Parliament by the previous government back in September of 2015. In that particular document that was provided, there were several points of departure as far as changes to our tax system are concerned. For example, in that paper, the wisdom was questioned in terms of moving from the turnover tax that we know today to a value-added tax. And in that paper, why I say the wisdom was questioned, because in that paper, reference was made to some of the snags that we could encounter going over to a value-added tax system. However, my point in raising this particular document, because there's more about our tax system in that document than only turnover tax, but my point in raising it was to ascertain whether that document, for example, is the basis that is being used by government and its partners in reviewing our tax system, in reviewing potential changes to our tax system. Because as you would see with the next topic that I will mention, there are many initiatives on the table. These initiatives have not come about without, I guess, some work being done, some analyses being done. And so we actually, the coalition, wants to know, is this something we can move forward on? Should we open up the discussion from scratch again about our tax system? And the same thing can be said for a framework document on our economic development that was presented also by a previous government. You would recall that presentation followed a session that was held with stakeholders on St. Martin to get the input of stakeholders into our economic development, where we see ourselves going as far as our economic development is concerned. So again, the question was, what happened to these initiatives? Did they yield not necessarily results at this stage, but did they yield any input? Was government able to learn from the discussions that were had how our private sector thinks about the future development of our economy? Again, as far as we have been able to determine, these type of documents have been, we know they are there, and our question is anything being done with them? So the matter of taxes was raised with the minister, elaborately so. One of the concerns that I mentioned during that meeting had to do with some of the statistical information that the minister had provided, especially during our budget debate, and where you see where, for example, the Bureau of Statistics has indicated that nearly 0.5% of our income earners in terms of employees, nearly half of those persons who earn their income through labor make between 1,000 and 3,000 guilders per month. As a note to that statement, the government at the time informed Parliament that we could speak of a brain drain. That's what the note said. However, if you take that into consideration, I think it would be more appropriately to consider that what we are witnessing is a shrinking middle class on St. Martin. And that being the case, mitigating efforts should be undertaken by government to deal with this. It's not just about we don't have those people here on St. Martin, that they left St. Martin, but rather we have a very small and apparently shrinking middle class. So that was something that was mentioned. I also spoke of a reference to the economic framework document for St. Martin is also a dire necessity for St. Martin.
Oh my, what an inventory list, and so unnecessary. But wait, your home contents are all insured by Be Sure. That means that you determine the amount you want to insure. No inventory list, no hassle.
Are you Be Sure? Be Sure.
Bob, I can understand why you're parking so carefully. Of course, when you can get 80% discount on your Be Sure car insurance. But that's overdoing it, Bob.
Are you Be Sure? Be Sure.
Yeah!
Here we go!
This is freedom, this is life. Happiness is all I'm seeking. Carpe diem, I'm seizing every day, not just the weekend. Here's to all the good times that have come to last. Here's to living in the now.
When you can afford what you crave, life just gets so good.
Alive and I'm feeling good, so good, so good, so good. Hey, I'm gonna live my life, feeling good, so good, real good, so
KFC, so good for everyone.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
Only Hilux overcomes Hilux. A new era for pickup.
Life is a journey full of connections. You're in safe hands even when life starts too soon. You don't have to miss a single beat. When a bad hair day makes you sad, just sharing can bring you joy and more to come. They take the plunge, turn fear into faith, while you capture those beautiful moments. In the game of life, it's family that counts. They'll be there even when you lose. We all have our moments of reflection and hope. And when you feel you're losing everything in life, we're there because there's more to come. When life starts too soon, you don't have to miss a single beat. We're here to connect you and share life. Telcel, when you want more.
Need a loan that's quick and easy. Island Finance. Up to 50,000 guineas really easy. Island Finance. For education, a renovation. That's no problem. even fix your car. You can depend on Island Finance.
Look ahead. SDLC, everybody. Lucas said energy, get ready. Hey, nobody shutting down this. Lucas said in the van, the whole crew up and ready. Lucas said in the hand, the LZ. Lucas said energy.
As Minister of Health, I need to look at it from a health perspective and question, are the fires creating a health hazard? And I think as you do your research online, clearly the fumes that are released by fires at the dump are not healthy for the population. So then, as minister, I still have an obligation to look at how do we prevent this? And as a member of the Council of Ministers, I have an obligation to see how do we prevent this. And so I like to do my research, and I'm in the process of doing that, so I think it'd be premature to come to any, let's say, formal conclusions. But the first question that I have is, what are the specifications that government has issued to the contractor in terms of how they should perform their work at the dump? So I have the terms of reference from the bidding process, which I'm in the process of reviewing. And at the same time, I've done some research and found a number of documents from around the world, Australia, United States, where, for example, they outline how they manage landfills and what the process involves. And so I'm in the process of comparing those to get a feeling for whether government has given sufficient detail, sufficient information so that the contractor is performing their job correctly. So if government has then issued those specifications and that they're appropriate and clear, then the question after that would be, is the contractor performing according to the specifications? And if the specification turns out are not sufficient, not clear enough, then I believe it's government's responsibility to relook at those specifications and see what needs to be done in terms of how we manage the landfill until a more permanent solution can be put into place. The other thing I've asked is that the inspectorate from VSA look at the safety of the workers that are actually working at the dump. Do they have the proper personal safety gear? Because clearly, if the fumes are not healthy for people that are living a distance away from the dump, then obviously the people that are actually working at the dump are in a higher risk level. So I've asked Dr. Best to take a look and see if the employees, if the staff that are working there have proper safety protocols in place and if they have proper personal protection equipment.
Regarding the dump site in Phillipsburg. And some weeks ago, I had issued a statement regarding this entire matter. And in essence, I indicated that it is no time now for finger pointing. It's no time for finger pointing. Clearly, we all know and everyone agrees that the dump site has outlived its lifespan. It is also clearly understood by all that a waste-to-energy plant is not going to be at that site or in fact any other site on St. Martin for at least the next coming 18 months. And then the question is, what do we do in the meantime? Yes, it is not the first time that the dump has been on fire, but in fact, the years are going, the years are passing. And in that context, the Minister of Health also issued a statement with respect to the dump site, now looking at it from his responsibility as the minister responsible for health. And the bottom line in my statement, the statement of the minister, has to do with the fact that we have to do something clearly. And no one is pointing fingers again at the person now responsible for doing the work in terms of the covering, etc., at the landfill, but rather is what government has in place, the terms of reference, is that sufficient to deal with the actual situation today? That's the question. The Minister of Health is already looking at some expert advice to see what and if can be done while we hopefully go further with getting a plant in place that you would have the treatment of our waste. But we cannot just lay back and say, well, it's not the first time it has been on fire, and we have terms of reference in place for the coverage. No, we need to look at it deeper. That's the point that both the minister and I have been making with respect to this matter. As I mentioned earlier, the Parliament schedule for next week, so starting with May 16th,
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
Only Hilux overcomes Hilux. A new era for pickup.
These are the doors that never close. These are the hands that make a difference. These are the walls that could tell countless stories of helping and healing, of storms weathered, of change and growth, of a place where life begins, where hearts are mended, and where hope grows stronger. For more than a quarter of a century, the physicians, medical professionals, and staff of St. Martin Medical Center have combined advanced medical technology and compassionate care to bring a world of medicine to our friends, neighbors, and visitors to the island of St. Martin we all call home. As proud as we are of what we have accomplished, we believe there is still much work to do to continue a proud tradition of providing everyone in our community with the latest technology, the best medicine, and the most exceptional care. St. Martin Medical Center, celebrating 25 years of serving, caring, healing.
One,
2,
3,
4. This is how common it is to develop a mental illness. 1 out of every 4.
4,
4.
But there is hope. Today, most mental illnesses can be managed and treated. Visit your general doctor if you feel concerned about your thoughts and behaviors or have some difficulty dealing with some of life's issues.
If you have been diagnosed and are suffering from a mental illness, keep in mind these 4 points to help you manage your mental health.
1. Get regular checkups with your general doctor.
2. Stay on your treatment plan to prevent relapses.
3. Find a strong support group in your family and friends.
And 4. Never be afraid to ask for help and look out for the warning signs of your illness.
Remember, you are not alone. We are as close as one.
2.
3.
4.
Learn about mental health illness by going to the Mental Health Foundation's website at www.mhf-sxm.com.
As strong as all children, teach them their history of what the future will building. Show them the place, be a born to grow sweetly, and they will go astray. Too much foolishness on our island. Children see politician, they can stop and try and run. So to the youth on the block, I feel your frustration. But the future of this nation is all up to you. For the love of St. Martin, I'm talking to you. Every man, woman, and child must make up their mind. For the betterment of our country, we must show the responsibility and put our weight before it's too late. For the love of St. Martin, I'm talking to you, to you. We must each decide what it is that we can do. For the love of our sweet island, it all starts with you. Adults on St. Martin, working 10-hour days, children left to raise themselves. St. Martin cannot be about sex and hustle. Yes, I will say it, and who vex, stay vexed.